ちは、WINEWHAT の鈴木です。今回もですね、引き続き、銀座のビラモーラさんからポルトガル大使館経済参事の、ミゲル・ガルシアさんと一緒にお届けしてまいりますが、これね、結構大変なことになりました。ビラモーラさんのところからですね、お料理を出していただけることになりまして、前回紹介させていただいたワインと今回新しく紹介するワインとをフードペアリング、食べ物と一緒にご紹介したいと思います。まず1つ目なんですけれども、これ前回出なかったものですけれど、前もお話ししたヴィーニョヴェルデですね。ヴィーニョヴェルデ is most famous in Japanese wine lovers and perhaps the most volume wine imported in Japan.
The Vinho Verde region, they have been in the last years, they have been doing some promotion in Japan. On a yearly basis they come, they sometimes have attended the wine and gourmet fair, they hosted wine tasting and some seminars, so they have been consistent in doing some wine promotion of the Vinho. On the other hand, Vinho Verde, it's a wine that can be a good match for Japanese food.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So actually, it's very interesting. I have a friend who has another friend, a lady, a well-known lady that started social media, passing information that Vinho Verde is very good with miso-based food. So I think it's a good pairing. It's a wine that it's fresh, especially good for summertime in Japan, and it's refreshing. It's not too heavy. It's not too strong, which also can be important. So it's becoming. We've seen some growth in the Japanese market.
せっかくお料理があるので、いろいろお伺いしたいんですけど、So you said the Japanese food very much Japanese, yeah, with the very good actually. So, but it is today we have Portugal. Could you explain this food? What is the famous Portugal, the typical Portugal?
These are chickpeas with tara, with bacalhau, but the codfish is kind of broken. So, and then they blend with olive oil and sometimes with some herbs, maybe sometimes with some onion, smoked onion. So it's very typical. It's called pastel de bacalhau. It's kind of a croquette where inside you have also little bits of tara and potato puree, and then you fry. The last one, this one, we call it polvo, so it's a taco, and we also eat a lot of taco. We do salad, we do it in many different ways. This one is it's very good for appetizer. A little salad with taco. Taco, compared with Japan, sometimes we cook the taco a little bit more than in Japan. So sometimes it's a little bit softer, but also a little bit more crunchy. So it's very typical.
So typically all over the country.
Portugal? Sure. Of course, this I would say more in regions closer to the coast, more to the sea. It's more fresh. Pastel de bacalhau everywhere. Every cafe you go in Portugal, even in cafe, you have coffee and you have some sandwich. You have a lot of pastry, and you always have this.
まず一つがですね、ワインの方ですね、ポートガルマモエラスさんの、スパークリングワインですね。So I have two surprises. So first one is one. Vinho Verde, they are making the traditional method sparkling wine. It's Albarino, the most known variety in the Vinho Verde. This is very surprising. I would like to taste. this is a real good sparkling wine farm. So the surprise is not the first. And the second one is the food. What is this?
Well,
Brazilian food or something?
we also do barbecue grilled. We also do that. It depends from region. Different regions in the country, you have different kind of meat. Sometimes more lamb, sometimes more pork. But we also do. This is called in Portugal. This is called espetada. Espetada. It's because of this is espeto, which is like the.
エルメリンダ、先ほどの動画の方でご紹介したパルメラ地区の赤ワインですね。すごいね、ボディもしっかりしたんですかね。力強い、ボルドーとかのスタイルに近い。ストラクチャー、the body, the structure, and the power. I'm very surprised and shocked by the price range on marché.
It's some of the in Portugal people like some wine with some structure, a little some tannins, and so this is a balanced wine. And but it's as I mentioned before, you have some very interesting winemakers these days. Actually, Ermelinda's winemaker is quite well known. Jean Candera is quite well known.
そしてこれですね、お料理。何ですかこれは
？This is typical Portuguese sardines. You can do whatever you want because the sardine is fat. There's some fattiness. It's like salmon and maybe but sardine. The fat is good. It's very healthy, and so they can do it with red wine, also with vinho verde, also if it has some acidity to cut the fatness. So
also tannin.
Yes,
Good balance.
Good balance. Also.
そしてもう多いそうなんですけど、続いてですね、カーザ・エルメリンダ・フレイタスに戻ってまいりまして、白の方ですね、こちらもちゃんと試してもらおうと思います。ちょっとですね、スパイシーな印象がありますね。香りにもちょっとスパイスっぽさがありますし、飲んでみてもこんな感じで、ちょっとピリッと胡椒みたいな、そういうフレーバーを感じます。So I have the impression that this one, the first time I met this cuisine, but I have an impression of Mediterranean food.
This like this when you look, you think of bouillabaisse.
Yeah.
Like typical.
But the pork.
Yes, and sometimes they do it also with tripes, intestines.
Okay.
It's very typical, but with tripes, it's very typical from Porto, from the north.
How do you find the food pairing of this wine?
It's the wine kind of refreshes a little bit and brings some of the flavors from the pork and the sauce. So it's a good combination. A lot of times we eat this also with red wine, but this is good combination.
続いてこんな感じの、お料理です。これ鴨肉だそうです。とあとお米。The name is
Arroz, but with arroz, rice, of duck.
ということで、鴨ライス。鴨ご飯。And this one. Very
Very well. Yes. But that's sometimes with some of the what we call salami, chorizo, because we have different kinds of we call charcuterie. Sometimes it's very good with white wine. Of course, sometimes the white wine has to be a little bit of acidity to cut the fatness, but it can be very good combination.
次はこれモスカテルですね。酒精強化のワインです。酒精強化といってもそんなにアルコール度数がめちゃくちゃ高いわけではなくて 17.5% ですから普通のワインよりもちょっと高いってような感じです。甘みがね少しあるワインなんですけれども色もやっぱり独特のこういうレンガっぽい色をしてますね。This normal this kind of fortified wine is also including hot wine. How to measure? So here comes the after that, here comes the dessert, but also the Taiwan food is also very well.
In some cases, there has been some trials. Some companies they try also to associate fortified wine with some food. It's a more difficult exercise, but you can do it. Of course, it should be small portions, otherwise then it's too heavy and too tiresome. But you can do it. Some people, for example, have done some fortified wine with steak au poivre, and they do a fortified wine with steak au poivre. It works, but it has to be a small quantity to be. But yes, although most fortified wines in Portugal, we do desserts and also cheese.
Yeah, I would like to say that cheese will be true.
Because sometimes we have in Portugal you have mainly goat and sheep cheese. We don't have so many cow cheese. Azores, which are some islands off the coast of Portugal, they have some cow cheese, but the bulk it's goat and some of the cheese is kind of runny. It's kind of melted,
Yes.
Fondue. Okay, and it's a very good combination.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Because the saltiness and the sweetness they make a very good match.
Ask you as a final question. Is that how do you recommend to the Japanese people the Portugal wine and the Portugal food?
What I think is in Japan as a wine consumer has evolved quite a lot in the last 30 years or 40 years or something. So you now have a big number of sophisticated consumers. So for Portuguese wines, what we think is that a lot of people are now looking for something different. And Portuguese wines are different because we have different grape varieties, we have different weather, climate, closer to the ocean, and it's a good opportunity to try something maybe different. And the food also is different, although a little bit more Mediterranean. We Japanese, for the Japanese market, Portuguese food sometimes we eat a lot of fish, like in Japan. Of course we cook, but I think it would be interesting to explore and try different things, Portuguese wine, with some Portuguese food recipes, including fish. Explore. I think my advice would be explore. Don't be afraid. It's okay. Even if you don't like it, then you find something else to match or a recipe that is more in your taste. So just try. Open your mind, try and enjoy. That's at the end of the day, wine should be enjoyed. That's the culture of wine in Portugal is enjoy and enjoy with other people. That's the culture.
今回はですね、ポルトガルの、本当に駆け足でしたけれども、食べ物と、ワインについて改めましてですね、ガルシアさんに、教えていただきました。ありがとうございました。このワインワットね、またこういう感じで動画でもですね、ゲストの方をお迎えしていろんなワインについてお話ししたいなというふうに思っておりますので、今後ともよろしくお願いします。コメントとかチャンネル登録とかいただけると嬉しく思います。というわけでですね、今日はですね、ギラモーラさん銀座本店からですね、お届けいたしました。ありがとうございました。